So what if I told you that the single greatest threat to your career trajectory, like your personal goals, your labor productivity, what if I told you it isn't a lack of skill?
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Right. Like it's not a toxic boss. It's definitely not a macroeconomic downturn either.
No, not at all.
The biggest threat is actually what happens in like the very first 180 seconds after your eyes open in the morning.
Yeah, and I'd actually take that even further.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, those first 180 seconds basically dictate your entire neurochemical baseline for the next, 15 hours.
Wow.
Because we have this total cultural obsession with the optimized morning routine, right?
Yeah, the whole biohacking tech bro aesthetic.
Where you wake up at like 4:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Submerge yourself in a freezing ice bath.
Right. Drink exactly 12 ounces of alkaline water or whatever.
Yeah, and basically trying to optimize your way into becoming some sort of flawless productivity machine.
Right. I mean, that framework basically treats the human brain like a combustion engine.
It does. It's entirely rigid.
Yeah, it assumes you're like powering up a machine rather than waking up a highly sensitive, vulnerable biological organism.
Which is exactly what we are.
Because let's just face reality for a second. The alarm blares, the room's freezing cold, and you just blindly reach for your phone to shut it off.
And then boom.
Boom. You see a Slack notification or like an urgent email from a client who's panicking.
Yeah, the classic morning ambush.
Exactly. And before your feet have even touched the floor, your heart rate spikes, your breathing gets all shallow, and that perfectly optimized routine completely shattered.
They've gone.
You're just immediately thrown into the psychological muddy waters.
So the biological mechanism happening right there, it's called the cortisol awakening response, or CAR-R.
Okay, CR.
Yeah. When you transition from sleep to wakefulness, your brain is, well, it's highly plastic and deeply vulnerable. And if the very first input it receives is a digital crisis, your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, it completely hijacks your prefrontal cortex.
Which is the logical part, right?
Exactly. So you are literally initiating a state of high alert, defensive survival before you've even had a glass of water.
That sounds exhausting.
Oh, it is. You end up playing defense for the rest of the day. Your labor productivity is basically compromised from minute one.
And honestly, that biological vulnerability is the exact reason we're taking a deep dive today into a completely different framework.
A much healthier one.
For sure. We're pulling from this really fascinating stack of source material centered around 10 powerful Stoic morning meditations.
But we should probably clarify something up front.
Yeah, let me be super clear about this. Our mission today is not to just sit around debating ancient Greek philosophy in the abstract.
No, nobody has time for that.
Right. We're going to deconstruct these 10 concepts and engineer them into a highly practical, actionable morning roadmap for you.
A sequence, basically.
Yes, a logical sequence that you can use every single morning to drastically boost your work productivity, align your tedious daily tasks with your personal goals, and solve everyday workplace challenges.
With a clear, resilient mind.
Exactly. But I think we need to address the elephant in the room regarding Stoicism.
Oh, the whole suppress your emotions thing.
Yeah. The modern caricature is that it's all about, like, turning yourself into some unfeeling robotic stone that just endures suffering without complaining.
Right, and that is just a massive fundamental misunderstanding.
Really? Because that's what everyone thinks it is.
I know, but Stoicism is actually an advanced cognitive framework for high performance.
Okay, unpacks that a little.
Sure. By applying these specific meditations in a logical, chronological sequence in the morning, you are essentially programming your mind's operating system.
Like writing code.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're doing it before the world has a chance to upload malware into it. You are, building cognitive armor.
I love that, building cognitive armor. So let's start building it, starting from the exact moment you open your eyes.
The very beginning.
Right. This initial phase is all about clearing the mental canvas. Because you can't strategically plan your workday or tackle a complex project if your working memory is just clogged with background anxiety.
It's biologically impossible to be highly productive like that.
Right. So it begins with the concept of solitude. But I want to be really careful with that word.
Yeah, because solitude often gets conflated with isolation.
Exactly. And they aren't the same thing, are they?
No, that distinction is vital. Loneliness or isolation is a state of psychological lack. It's a negative state.
Right.
Solitude, at least in this context, is a highly deliberate state of sensory deprivation.
Okay, deliberate sensory deprivation.
Yeah, it is the practice of being completely in tune with your internal baseline without any external interference whatsoever.
No phones, no news.
Nothing. We are talking about that incredibly brief, quiet window before the rest of the world, or even just the rest of your household, wakes up and demands your attention.
You know, I actually think about it like booting up a computer in safe mode.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. Like when a computer's crashing, you don't just keep opening more and more applications.
No, you fry the system.
Exactly. You restart it in safe mode, which only loads the essential core operating system.
Just the basics.
Yeah. No third-party apps, no background processes, no internet connection. You need that isolation to run a diagnostic scan and figure out what's actually going on.
And if you apply this directly to labor productivity, it just makes perfect sense.
How so?
Well, you cannot run a deep psychological diagnostic or plan a high-stakes negotiation, for that matter, while sitting in a chaotic, open-plan office.
Oh, for sure, with Slack notifications pinging every 4 seconds.
Right. The cognitive load of the modern workplace is just staggering. We are constantly context switching.
Which kills focus.
Completely degrades your executive function. So if you immediately dive into that chaotic environment the second you wake up, you are allowing external variables to dictate your priorities.
You're just purely reactive.
Exactly. But practicing solitude creates a deliberate vacuum. It's a controlled environment where you transition from unconsciousness to conscious strategy.
You know, there's another analogy I love for this.
Let's hear it.
Think of like an elite athlete walking out onto the empty field 3 hours before the stadium fills up with 70,000 screaming fans.
Oh, yeah. Just taking it all in.
Right. They aren't playing the game yet. They aren't running plays. They are just feeling the turf under their cleats, looking at the dimensions of the field, noticing the way the wind is blowing.
They are mapping the territory in silence.
Yes. If you don't take that 10 minutes of solitude in the morning, you're essentially being shoved onto the field while the game is already tied in the fourth quarter.
And you have absolutely no idea what position you're playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a recipe for panic.
And that mapping process is crucial because once you are in that state of solitude, once you've initiated safe mode, you have to actually run the diagnostic.
Right. Which brings us to step 2.
Yes, the meditation of observation. In our source material, this is described as the practice of watching your thoughts and emotions without immediate judgment.
Now, I've often heard this described with that cliche of, watching your thoughts pass by like clouds in the sky.
The classic mindfulness trope.
Yeah. But frankly, I've always found that a bit passive.
Really? How so?
Well, it sounds like you're just laying on a hill daydreaming. Like if I'm waking up with a profound sense of dread about a massive board meeting, I don't want to just watch it float by.
I agree completely. The cloud metaphor is actually dangerously passive when we're talking about high-level goal achievement.
Right. It doesn't feel actionable.
It's not. Let's look at the actual neurology of neutral observation instead.
Okay, let's do it.
When you feel dread about a meeting, your limbic system fires up. But typically, we don't just feel the dread, right? We judge it.
Oh, absolutely.
Your second thought is usually something like, I shouldn't be feeling this dread. I'm a senior executive. I'm being weak. I'm totally unprepared.
So you start spiraling.
Exactly. By categorizing that initial feeling as a bad thought that must be destroyed, you initiate a secondary stress response.
Wow. So you're stressing about the stress.
Yes. You are now using immense amounts of metabolic energy, literal glucose in your brain, to fight your own neurochemistry.
Which leaves you with less energy for the actual work.
Precisely.
Okay, so the observation isn't about ignoring the thought. It's about intercepting the code before it compiles.
Intercepting the code, I like that.
Let's ground this in a daily workplace scenario.
Sure, give me an example.
Say you have a habit of responding impulsively, maybe a bit defensively, to workplace criticism.
Very common.
Right. So your boss sends an email at 7 to 8 a.m. saying, let's review the flaws in yesterday's report.
Ouch!
Yeah. Your automatic response is a massive spike of anger. Your heart rate elevates. Now, if you haven't practiced morning observation, you immediately identify with that anger.
You become the anger.
Exactly. And you fire off a defensive passive-aggressive reply that permanently damages your professional reputation.
Which is obviously the exact opposite of high labor productivity.
Right. It's a disaster.
But if you have trained your brain through morning observation, you experience that exact same spike of anger.
Because you can't stop the initial feeling, right?
Right. The feeling still happens, but you create a microsecond of distance.
Ah, okay.
Viktor Frankl famously noted that between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our freedom.
That's a powerful concept.
It really is. Morning observation is how you widen that space. You catch the instinct. You acknowledge the physiological spike in your body without judging it as a moral failure.
And then you deliberately choose a professional response.
Exactly. You break the circuit.
You're defanging the limbic system.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay. But once you've intercepted that dread or that anger, you can't just leave it sitting there in your working memory, right?
No, absolutely not. Which takes us to the next phase of the morning sequence. Seeking self-knowledge.
Step 3.
Right. We've entered safe mode, we've run the diagnostic, and we've spotted the error code through observation. Now we have to actually debug the system.
Okay, so this is where we move from just observing into actual root cause analysis.
Yes. Our source material refers to this as mental gardening, like pulling the weeds of negative thoughts.
But again, I kind of want to upgrade that metaphor.
Let's do it.
It feels more like finding the microfractures in a building's foundation before you subject it to a massive load test.
Oh, that's much better for a workplace context.
Let's go back to the anxiety about the board meeting as our case study.
Okay.
The surface level symptom, the error code, if you will, is the anxiety itself. Self-knowledge means you don't just observe it and wave at it. You interrogate it.
You dig into it.
Right. Using something like the 5 whys technique. You literally sit there and ask yourself, why am I anxious? Is it because I lack the actual data for the presentation?
Which is a valid reason to be anxious.
Exactly. Or is it because the CEO is going to be in the room and I am just deeply terrified of looking incompetent?
And that distinction right there, it changes absolute everything about your daily strategy.
How so? Walk me through it.
Well, if the root cause is structural, meaning you legitimately don't know the data, the actionable solution is clear. You spend your first 2 hours of the workday reviewing the financials.
So in that case, the anxiety is actually a useful signal prompting preparation.
Exactly. But if the root cause is purely aesthetic, if it's just a fear of judgment and a threat to your ego, then spending 2 hours reviewing the data won't lower your heart rate at all.
Because you're setting the wrong problem.
Exactly. Identifying that the root is insecurity strips the anxiety of its vague, overwhelming power. It makes you the architect of your day, rather than a victim of invisible emotional currents.
Okay, but I have to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
If my alarm goes off, and I'm sitting in the quiet of my kitchen at like 6:30 a.m., and the very first thing I do is start aggressively interrogating my deepest insecurities about my career.
Yeah.
Isn't that just a recipe for a massive morning spiral? Like, it seems totally counterintuitive to productivity to start the day by staring into the abyss of my own inadequacies.
I get that. It feels completely counterintuitive. But we have to look at the metabolic cost of avoidance.
Okay, the metabolic cost.
Right. The Stoic perspective, which by the way is heavily backed by modern clinical psychology, argues that avoiding the root of your anxiety is what actually drains your endurance.
Because it's always just lingering there.
Yes. When an anxiety is vague and unexamined, it operates like a background app on your phone, just constantly draining your battery.
Oh, I hate when my phone does that.
Right. And mentally, it colors every single interaction you have. Your allostatic load, the physiological wear and tear in your body from chronic stress, it just stays elevated all day long.
Ah, I see. So when you pull it into the light and explicitly say, okay, the truth is I'm just worried the CEO will think I'm an imposter, it suddenly shifts.
Yes. From being an invisible monster into a tangible, defined object.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Becomes an engineering constraint.
Yes. An invisible monster is terrifying because you don't know its dimensions. A defined engineering constraint is something you can build a system around.
You can work with it.
Exposing the root of the anxiety doesn't amplify it. It contextualizes it. It provides the ultimate clarity.
All right, I'm sold. So our mental canvas is clear. We've woken up, booted in safe mode, identified the bugs, and contextualized our anxieties.
Phase 1 is complete.
Right. Now we transition into the second major phase of our morning roadmap, calibrating the inner compass.
Getting the strategy straight.
Because before we leave the house and step into the arena of the workplace, we need to set our strategic direction for the day. And this relies heavily on step 4, trusting your intuition.
Yes. The source material describes intuition as this constant internal light, like a guide that is entirely distinct from the shouting voices of external pressures.
Which is critical in a corporate environment.
Oh, completely.
But let me interrupt there because honestly, the modern workplace absolutely worships data.
Data is king.
Right. We are explicitly told to ignore our gut. If you walk into a boardroom and say, hey guys, my intuition tells me we shouldn't acquire this company, you will be laughed right out of the room.
They'd ask for the slide deck to prove it.
Exactly. We are conditioned to believe that intuition is just this mystical, irrational nonsense, and that the only valid compass is a spreadsheet.
And that is a massive fundamental misconception about what intuition actually is.
Okay, give us the neuroscience then.
Neurologically speaking, intuition is not mystical in the slightest.
Not at all.
Not at all. It is your basal ganglia and your right hemisphere rapidly processing microinformation and recognizing complex patterns.
Yeah, pattern recognition.
Yes, your brain takes in literally millions of data points every second. Microexpressions on a client's face, slight tonal shifts in an email, subtle historical trends in the
It's
market.
stuff you aren't even consciously aware of.
Exactly, and it processes them far faster than your conscious, verbal, logical, prefrontal cortex can actually articulate.
Wow. So when you're reviewing a contract, and the numbers look perfectly fine on paper, but your stomach just tightens, and your gut says, something is wrong here.
That's not magic.
It's your brain's highly advanced predictive coding screaming that it's spotted a pattern of risk.
A pattern that your conscious mind just hasn't found the vocabulary for yet.
That is fascinating.
Malcolm Gladwell explored this brilliantly in his book Blink. It's rapid cognition. And if we connect this back to labor productivity and achieving personal goals,
Yeah, how does this apply to the daily grind?
well, blindly following external shouting voices like the corporate culture telling you to hustle harder or pushing you to take a promotion you don't actually want, that is a fast track to burnout.
Because you're ignoring your own internal data.
Right. Intuition is the early warning system that tells you if the ladder you are climbing so efficiently is actually leaning against the wrong wall.
I love that image. And the source actually suggests a highly practical tool here that I really want to highlight for you listening.
The Intuition Journal.
Yes, keeping an intuition journal.
It is a brilliant way to calibrate your neural network.
How exactly does it work?
After your morning reflection, you simply jot down a few sentences about your gut feelings regarding the major decisions you face that day.
Just really quick informal notes.
Exactly, like, my gut says this vendor is overpromising, or my gut says I should delay this product launch.
Okay.
Then, weeks later, you review it. You track how those gut feelings influence your choices, and more importantly, you track how accurate they were in hindsight.
Oh, wow. So you are essentially training and testing your brain's predictive model.
You're grading your own intuition.
It takes the mysticism completely out of it and turns intuition into a measurable, trackable metric. I love that.
It's extremely practical.
Okay, so you are tuned into your intuition, your internal data processor. Now you need to actually aim it,
Step 5.
which is the meditation of purpose. The text notes that a life without purpose is like a ship drifting, just waiting to crash into the rocks.
A ship without a rudder.
Right. Purpose provides the ultimate filtering algorithm for your daily choices.
But in the context of achieving personal goals and solving daily work challenges, we have to demystify this word purpose.
Because it sounds so lofty.
It does. We often frame purpose as this massive, intimidating concept, like eradicating poverty or single-handedly revolutionizing an entire industry.
Right, like saving the world.
But the Stoic framework explicitly demands that we translate these grand concepts into simple, daily, immediate actions.
Okay, let's do exactly that. Let's run a translation.
Yeah.
Let's say you do your morning reflection and you define your overarching life purpose as helping others reach their maximum potential.
Which sounds fantastic on a LinkedIn bio.
Oh, absolutely. Very impressive.
Right.
But how does that philosophical concept help you on a random Tuesday at, say, 2:20 p.m., when you are just drowning in tedious compliance paperwork?
Right. The translation is everything.
Walk us through it.
If your grand vision is helping others reach their potential, that purpose dictates your micro actions in the office.
Give me an example.
It means that when a new intern makes a mistake on a report, you don't just sigh and fix it for them. You take 5 minutes to sit down and teach them the actual process.
Because that aligns with maximizing their potential.
Exactly. And regarding that tedious compliance paperwork, you don't approach it as a bureaucratic punishment.
Even though it feels like it.
Even though it feels like it, you reframe it You see it as the foundational architecture that keeps your team legally safe and employed.
Wow. So suddenly, basic data entry is deeply aligned with your life's mission.
Yes, that alignment is where radical productivity comes from.
If you are listening to this right now, I really want you to run this translation exercise for yourself.
It's a game changer.
It really is. When you are staring at a seemingly mundane spreadsheet later today, or sitting in a budget meeting that absolutely could have been an email,
We've all been there.
ask yourself, how does that specific, boring task connect to your larger legacy? If you can draw a structural line from your daily labor to your ultimate purpose, your productivity skyrockets.
Because you completely eliminate the friction of pointlessness.
Exactly. You aren't just filling out cells in Excel, you are building the runway for your team to take off.
And that alignment just completely removes decision fatigue. It acts as a compass in the dark.
But of course, a compass doesn't stop the storm from hitting your ship.
No, it just points you in the right direction while you're getting battered.
Which makes the next phase of our morning calibration absolutely vital. The meditation of reason, or more specifically, the dichotomy of control.
Step 6. The heavyweight champion of Stoic concepts.
It really is. It was primarily championed by Epictetus. And the core principle is brutally simple.
Yeah.
You must ruthlessly distinguish between what is in your control and what is not.
And to really grasp the weight of this, we have to look at who Epictetus actually was.
Right, context matters here.
It does. He wasn't an emperor like Marcus Aurelius or a wealthy power broker like Seneca. Epictetus was born into slavery.
Let that sink in.
His physical body, his geographic location, his daily labor, none of it was under his control.
Zero autonomy.
Right. So he developed this philosophy not as some fun intellectual exercise at a dinner party, but as a literal psychological survival mechanism in an environment of total subjugation.
Wow.
He realized that the only true sovereignty a human being has is over their own mind, their judgments, their intentions, and their responses.
When you apply that level of stark, survival-grade reasoning to the modern workplace, it completely reframes our daily stressors.
It makes them look incredibly manageable.
Let's look at the biggest weeks of human energy in corporate environments.
Okay, let's list them.
You commute to work and get completely paralyzed by rage over the traffic.
All sick.
Or you get derailed for an entire afternoon because your boss abruptly changes the scope of a major project.
It happens all the time.
Or you just sit at your desk consumed with anxiety about the macroeconomic climate, rising interest rates, rumors of industry layoffs.
And biologically, what is happening in all those scenarios?
Tell me.
By focusing your attention on those uncontrollable macro variables, your brain perceives a massive threat that it physically cannot resolve.
Because you can't fix the interest rates.
Right. So your brain just floods your system with cortisol, your executive function shuts down, your productivity drops to absolute zero.
So the application of reason here is really about strategic resource allocation.
Exactly. You must ignore what you cannot control and hyper-focus entirely on what you can.
Okay, so you cannot control the interest rates, but you can control the quality of the specific financial report due at noon.
Yes.
You cannot control your boss's erratic mood today, but you can control the calm, data-driven professionalism of your response to them.
It is entirely about reclaiming your agency.
But there is a really common pitfall here that I want to bring up.
I think I know what you're going to say.
When we talk about applying cold, hard reason and dividing the entire world into buckets of control and no control, people naturally assume we are advocating for becoming robotic.
Right. They think it means killing all emotion.
Yeah. Like, if we just ruthlessly filter everything through logic, don't we lose our humanity in the workplace? Don't we just become those unbearable, overly literal colleagues who lack any emotional intelligence?
That's a huge misinterpretation of the philosophy.
Please clarify that, because it's a major hang-up for people.
Reason is not devoid of emotion. Rather, reason acts as a dampener and a guide for the emotional system.
Okay, how does that look in practice?
Let's go back to the scenario where your boss abruptly changes the project scope at the last minute.
The worst.
If you rely purely on emotion, you feel disrespected, you get angry, and you either lash out or become totally passive-aggressive.
Which hurts you in the long run.
Exactly. But if you use reason with your emotion, you acknowledge the very real, very human feeling of frustration. You don't suppress it.
You let yourself feel annoyed.
Yes, but reason intercepts the reaction and says, look, their erratic behavior is outside my locus of control. Reacting in anger will only jeopardize my own goals and my reputation.
Ah, I see.
Reason doesn't kill the emotion. It acts as a filter so the emotion doesn't destroy your career.
It's the ultimate executive function.
It really is.
Okay, let's take a breath and look at our morning roadmap so far.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We really have. Phase 1, cleared the mental canvas in safe mode. Phase 2, calibrated our inner compass. We tuned into our intuition, we translated our grand purpose into micro-actions, and we engaged our reason to focus only on our locus of control.
We are fully armed. We've mapped the field.
Now, we actually leave the house. We step into the chaos.
Phase 3, execution and problem solving in the arena.
Right. This is where the quiet, pristine philosophy of your morning kitchen meets the loud, messy friction of the actual workday.
The rubber meets the road.
And the very first thing that gets tested under pressure. Step 7, integrity.
Yes. Our source material defines integrity as the coherence between what you think and what you do.
It's letting your carefully chosen values dictate your actions, especially when it is deeply uncomfortable to do so.
And the workplace is essentially a never-ending gauntlet of stress tests for your integrity.
Oh, constantly. And we often think of integrity violations as, like, massive corporate frauds,
Yeah.
embezzlement, or massive whistleblowing scandals.
Yeah, stuff that makes the news.
Right. But the real battleground is the micro-dilemmas, the everyday stuff, like the temptation to tell a small, convenient lie to avoid a localized work problem.
We've all faced this. Every single professional has.
You miss a critical deadline, or you make a fundamental error in a financial model, and your boss calls you into their office to ask what happened.
The biological instinct, the path of least resistance, is to deflect.
Because it's easier. You blame a vendor who isn't on the call to defend themselves, or you blame a glitch in the software, or you just blame a vague miscommunication with another department.
Because lying avoids the immediate acute pain of embarrassment.
But let's examine the neurobiological cost of that lie.
Okay, this is fascinating.
Tell us.
When you lie, you actually induce cognitive dissonance. Your brain knows the truth, but your mouth is actively speaking a falsehood.
Right.
Maintaining that dual reality requires immense amounts of working memory. It consumes significant glucose in the brain.
Wait, really?
Yes, you are literally making yourself less intelligent for the rest of the day because your brain is dedicating precious resources just to maintaining the architecture of the lie.
That is wild. So honesty isn't just a moral imperative, it's a cognitive efficiency tool.
That is exactly what it is. Choosing honesty, looking your boss in the eye and saying, I mismanaged my time, I made the error, and here's my exact plan to fix it. That brings immediate, acute discomfort.
You might even face a formal reprimand.
True, but the Stoic view looks at the compounding interest of the long game.
No.
Using the acute pain of honesty builds deep, unshakable trust over time. It proves to everyone around you that your word actually maps to reality.
I look at integrity kind of like the structural integrity of a bridge. If you cut corners on the micromaterials like the small bolts and rivets, the entire bridge collapses under a heavy load later on.
That's a great analogy.
The source gives a really great micro example of this. It's as simple as seeing a piece of trash in the office hallway and just picking it up.
Even if no one is watching.
Exactly. Simply because your internal values include respect for your environment. In the context of team dynamics, that translates to communicating hard truths directly and respectfully.
Instead of avoiding them.
Right. I'd actually argue that passive aggressiveness in the workplace is a fundamental failure of integrity.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're feeling one thing but acting out a disguised version of it simply because you lack the courage to be direct.
Which perfectly sets up our next critical tool. Step 8. The meditation of courage.
Yes. If integrity is having the clarity to know the right thing to do, courage is having the operational capacity to actually do it.
The philosopher Seneca has a brilliant, heavy quote on this.
Let's hear it.
He said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage.
Wow. That's heavy.
It is. He frames courage not as some battlefield heroism, but as a grinding daily requirement. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It is taking action while the fear is still physically present in your nervous system.
Because the danger in the modern career is actually comfort, isn't it?
100%. If you are entirely comfortable at work, you are not growing, you are stagnating.
Right. To achieve high personal goals, you must continually step into the unknown, which will naturally trigger your threat detection systems.
It's biological.
Let's apply this to a specific, painful workplace problem. Hitting a career plateau.
Very common issue.
You've been in the exact same role for 4 years. You know the systems, you do the job well, and it's incredibly predictably safe.
But the purpose we defined earlier, the big goal, demands more of you.
Right. Breaking that plateau requires the courage to face fears that feel totally paralyzing.
Like what?
It might be the fear of public speaking. You need to pitch a radical new initiative to the executive board to get noticed.
Or the courage to make an unpopular but structurally necessary change that will upset your team in the short term.
Or, honestly, the ultimate act of career courage. Walking away from a sunk cost and changing industries entirely.
Which is terrifying for most people.
So how do you actually engineer that courage? You don't
Well-
just hype yourself up in the mirror, right?
No, affirmations won't cut it here. You use the morning meditations we've been discussing.
Connect the dots for us.
By sitting quietly in the morning and defining those specific fears during your observation phase, you turn them from abstract terrors into mechanical problems.
Oh, right, like we talked about earlier.
Exactly. An invisible monster is paralyzing. But a tangible challenge, like saying, I am afraid of looking foolish during a presentation because my public speaking skills are objectively weak. That is a mechanical constraint.
And you can fix a mechanical constraint.
Yes, you can hire a speech coach. You can join Toastmasters. You can practice recording yourself on video.
You literally defeat fear through granular action.
You turn the boogeyman into a math problem.
I absolutely love that framework. Okay, so you face the morning, you've set your strategy, you are executing with integrity and courage. You're out there crushing it.
Sounds like a great day.
But it is only 2:30 p.m.
Ah, the afternoon slump.
Right. The workday is remarkably long. You've answered 90 emails, you've put out 3 departmental fires, and your prefrontal cortex is just totally exhausted.
Running on fumes.
How do you maintain that energy and productivity through the afternoon? How do you actually endure for decades in a career?
That is the ultimate test, and it brings us to phase 4, sustaining momentum and avoiding burnout.
Because you can't just grit your teeth forever.
No, you cannot maintain high productivity over a 40-year career purely on grit, cortisol, and adrenaline. That will literally kill you.
You need a sustainable fuel source.
Yes, and that neurochemical fuel is found in step 9, the meditation of finding joy in the journey.
Which sounds a bit Hallmark card, but there's deep science here.
Oh, absolutely. The core trap we all fall into is the arrival fallacy.
The arrival fallacy.
Yeah.
Define that for us.
It's the persistent belief that happiness and satisfaction are located exclusively at the destination. We tell ourselves, I will be happy when I finally get that promotion, or I will finally relax when this startup goes public.
Let's look at the dopamine system here, because this is where ambitious professionals just destroy themselves.
Oh, completely.
Dopamine is not actually the molecule of reward, right? It is the molecule of motivation and pursuit.
Correct.
So if you tie your entire dopamine reward system to a single outcome, that is like 5 years in the future, and largely outside your direct control, remembering our friend Epictetus.
You starve your brain of the daily chemical rewards it actually needs to keep going today.
And that's when you crash.
You experience a massive dopamine deficit, which we experience colloquially as burnout.
The source material uses this great analogy of a mountain trail.
It's very fitting.
Right. If you are entirely obsessed with reaching the summit, your head is just down, you're gritting your teeth, and the entire 6-hour hike is just an agonizing, painful delay between you and your goal.
You're just suffering.
Exactly. You completely miss the texture of the rock, the complexity of the ecosystem around you, the feeling of your own lungs and muscles working in harmony.
And translating that to your career, the destination is just a fleeting moment.
It really is. You get the promotion, you feel a spike of relief for maybe 24 hours.
And then your brain immediately sets a new baseline and starts looking for the next summit.
So if you postpone your satisfaction for only the summits, you will be miserable for 99% of your working life.
Which destroys long-term productivity.
So the practical application here is literally engineering joy into the process today.
Yes, in the micro moments.
It means taking a second at 3:00 p.m. to genuinely marvel at a beautifully constructed financial model you just built.
Taking pride in the craft.
Right. It means finding deep satisfaction in learning a complex new software skill this afternoon just for the sake of mastery itself.
Celebrating the micro victories.
Exactly. Like saying, hey, we navigated that hostile client call without losing our temper. That is a demonstration of our morning training. That's a win.
Gratitude for the present process provides a steady, sustainable drip of dopamine. It creates a massive buffer of resilience.
It shifts your internal narrative from, I have to endure this suffering to get to the top,
Mhm.
to, I am actively growing and engaging in my craft right now.
And that shift is the secret to a 40-year career.
Which brings us to the final piece, the architecture.
Off of book 10.
Being a source of light.
A great way to end the sequence.
The text argues that true leadership is not about authority, titles, or organizational charts. It is about serving with intention and inspiring others by example.
This is where the Stoic framework finally expands from internal cognitive management to external environmental impact.
Affecting the people around you.
Right. By elevating your own operating system every morning, you naturally begin to elevate the entire network around you.
Let's talk about emotional contagion in a team setting.
It's very real.
Think about the effect of a single toxic person in a meeting room. If one person is panicked, cynical, and hyper-focused on everything that's going wrong.
It infects the whole room almost instantly.
But the reverse is incredibly powerful too.
Yes, positive contagion.
If you walk into a crisis meeting, say a major vendor just went bankrupt, and your supply chain is totally shattered, and you face that setback with grace, logic, and a ruthless focus on the variables within your control.
That stability is entirely contagious.
Your calm literally downregulates the nervous systems of your colleagues.
You are leveraging mirror neurons. Humans are biologically wired to mimic the emotional states of those around them, especially leaders.
So a sincere compliment to a struggling junior employee, or taking 10 minutes to help a colleague troubleshoot a bottleneck, can completely shift the trajectory of their day.
You become a catalyst for the entire team's productivity.
But I want to pause here and hit this with a massive caveat.
It's important to do so.
Because being a source of light is so often misinterpreted as self-martyrdom.
Oh, yes. The martyr complex.
I've seen so many empathetic leaders burn themselves to ash trying to solve everyone else's emotional problems in the office.
That is a critical failure of the system we just built. Because the source material emphasizes that illuminating the path for others does not mean ignoring your own structural needs.
To use an electrical grid analogy, you cannot power a city if your main reactor is melting down.
Exactly.
Setting boundaries is actually a form of operational readiness. Saying no to a project because your bandwidth is full is an act of integrity.
You must fiercely protect your physical, emotional, and mental self-care.
Because giving away all your energy while neglecting your own foundation is not a virtue. It is a fast track to resentment, systemic collapse, and ultimately a total loss of productivity.
True leadership requires the discipline to maintain your own armor so that you remain strong enough to shield others.
It is a delicate, dynamic balance. You optimize yourself not to isolate yourself from the world, but to be of maximum use to it.
I think that is the perfect summation.
Let's take a step back and look at this entire framework one last time. We didn't just read an ancient text today. We built a modern operational roadmap.
From the moment you wake up to the end of the day.
We start by waking up and initiating safe mode through solitude, mapping the field before the noise begins. We use neutral observation to intercept the limbic system's panic, and self-knowledge to debug the root causes of our anxieties, turning invisible monsters into mechanical constraints.
Then we calibrate the compass. We tune into the rapid data processing of our intuition. We use purpose as our filtering algorithm to connect mundane tasks to our ultimate legacy.
And we deploy reason to ruthlessly focus our energy solely on the variables within our locus of control.
Next, we step into the arena. We use integrity to align our actions with our values, recognizing that honesty is a cognitive efficiency tool that builds compounding trust.
And we use courage to break our career plateaus by acting despite the presence of fear.
And finally, we sustain momentum. We reject the arrival fallacy and use the joy of the process to provide sustainable dopamine.
We act as a source of light, leveraging emotional contagion to stabilize our teams while ruthlessly guarding our own boundaries to prevent a reactor meltdown.
It really is a comprehensive operating system for the modern professional.
It is. And it leads me to a final thought I want to leave you with today.
What is it?
In the corporate world, we are just so obsessed with the external fix.
We love a quick fix.
We think the solution to our chaos is downloading the newest AI productivity app, or finding the perfect time-blocking hack, or paying for a massive digital suite for the team. We are constantly desperate for a technological savior.
But the ultimate productivity tool isn't a piece of technology at all.
Exactly. What if the secret to outperforming in your career, achieving your most ambitious personal goals, and surviving the brutal friction of daily life is simply the ancient, entirely free habit of sitting quietly with your own mind for 10 minutes every morning? before the world demands your attention.
The ultimate upgrade is silence.
You don't need another app. You need an empty field. So my challenge to you listening is simple. Try applying just one phase of this roadmap tomorrow morning.
Just one.
When that alarm goes off, do not touch the phone. Do not look at the emails. Just sit in the solitude. Run the diagnostic. Intercept one negative thought.
And just notice what happens.
Notice the immediate, undeniable shift in how you command the rest of your day. Because when you repair the operating system of your morning mind, the muddy waters clear and you can finally see exactly what you need to build.